Okay, so let me ask you something real quick. What is horsepower? And before you say anything, I don't mean the dictionary definition. I mean actually explain it. Like if someone who knew nothing about cars asked you right now, what would you say? Because most people, including people who have been into cars their entire lives, will just say something like, "It's how fast the car goes," and then change the subject really quickly. And here's the thing, that's not even wrong. It's just incomplete. And the incomplete version is actually what gets people into trouble when they're trying to understand why certain cars feel the way they feel. So let's actually fix that today. Let's start with torque, because torque is honestly the easier one and it makes horsepower make a lot more sense once you get it. Torque is force. That's it. It's the twisting, pulling force that the engine produces. When you press the accelerator and you feel yourself getting pushed back into your seat, that's torque. Think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to loosen a really tight bolt with a wrench. The harder you pull on that wrench, the more torque you're applying to the bolt. A longer wrench makes it easier because you have more leverage, more torque with the same amount of effort. Your engine is doing the same thing. Every time a piston fires, it's pushing down on the crankshaft and making it rotate. The force of that push is torque. It's measured in Newton meters or pound-feet depending on where you are in the world. High torque means the engine is producing a lot of force per rotation, and that force is what gets a heavy car moving. That's why diesel trucks have massive torque numbers. They need to pull trailers and haul weight, and for that you need raw pulling force, not anything else. So if torque is force, what is horsepower? Horsepower is how fast you can apply that force. That's the part nobody explains properly. Horsepower is literally torque multiplied by how fast the engine is spinning. The formula is actually torque times RPM divided by a constant. But you don't need to memorize that. You just need to understand what it means. Here's an analogy. Two people are moving boxes. Person A is incredibly strong. They can pick up a massive box, but they move slowly. Person B is not as strong, but they move incredibly fast. They're running back and forth. At the end of the day, Person B might have moved more boxes total even though Person A is stronger. Person A has more torque. Person B has more horsepower. Horsepower is work done over time. It's the rate at which the engine can deliver energy. Not just how hard it can push, but how quickly it can keep pushing. This is why high-revving engines feel so different from low-revving ones. Take a Ferrari with a naturally aspirated V8. It doesn't make a crazy amount of torque, but it revs to 8,000 or 9,000 RPM. Because horsepower is torque times RPM, the higher that engine spins, the more horsepower it produces. The power builds as the revs climb. You have to work for it. You have to rev it out. And when it hits that power band, it feels like something completely different from anything else. Now, take a diesel pickup truck. Massive torque, available right from basically idle, but it doesn't rev high at all, so the horsepower number isn't that impressive. But try putting a load on it, try towing something. That torque hits immediately and it just pulls. It doesn't care about RPM, it just works. Neither is better, they're just built for different things. This is also why electric cars feel so fast off the line, by the way. Electric motors produce maximum torque from 0 RPM. The moment you press the accelerator, there is no buildup, no waiting for the revs to climb, no power band, full torque immediately. That's why a Tesla can beat almost anything in a drag race off the line, even against cars with way more peak horsepower. Now here is where people get really confused, and honestly, it's because car manufacturers kind of make it confusing on purpose. When a car company advertises horsepower, they're giving you the peak number, the maximum horsepower the engine produces at a specific RPM. But your engine isn't always running at that RPM. Most of the time, you're nowhere near it. Same with torque. Peak torque happens at a specific RPM range too. Outside of that range, you're getting less. So when someone says this car has 500 horsepower and another car has 500 horsepower, those two cars can feel completely different to drive depending on where in the rev range that power comes in and how the torque curve behaves throughout. A wide, flat torque curve means the engine feels strong and responsive across a big range of RPMs. A narrow, peaky torque curve means you have to be in exactly the right gear at exactly the right RPM to feel the power. which can be either incredibly frustrating or incredibly fun depending on what kind of driver you are. And that's honestly the part that matters most when you're actually driving a car. Not the peak numbers on a spec sheet, but how that power actually gets delivered to you in the real world. Peak horsepower is a marketing number. How the power feels, that's the actual car. So next time someone tells you their car has more horsepower than yours, just ask them where the torque peaks. Watch their face. If you want more videos where we actually explain car stuff properly instead of just throwing numbers around, subscribe. New video every week. See you there.